So thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time to come and hear about Pearson's new history and geography resources. We've invited you here today because you have another curriculum resource with us, and we'd like to show you how history and geography could help to meet more of your teaching and learning needs. My name's Eley Dix and I'm a consultant in the customer success team, and we're here to support you with all of your online subscriptions with Pearson. Also joining me is my colleague Alicia Walker, who will be able to help answer any questions that you may have. So we know from our many conversations with schools that it can be really challenging and time consuming to put together a thorough curriculum for history and geography, and also one which answers all of the requirements of a deep dive from Ofsted. So we'd like to take the time today to give you an overview of the history and geography resources, show you how rigorous the programme is, and also how engaging it is for children with its thorough, tried and tested and diverse content. So we scheduled 45 minutes, but I think actually we should be done in less than half an hour, so you'll get a bit of time back. And this is in a webinar format, which means that we're not able to see or hear you, but we're able to see your questions. So if you do have any questions for us, then please put them into the Q&A box. There's a chat box and a Q&A, but if you could put them into the Q&A, that would be brilliant. And we'll answer them either as we go along or at the end of the session. And we'll be recording this session, so any schools who haven't been able to attend, we can share it with them afterwards. So this is the agenda for today. We'll do an overview of the history and geography resources, and then a live walkthrough of the product on our Active Learn primary platform. We'll have a look at the packages that we offer at schools, including the professional development training, and then we'll go through answers to your questions. So as a starting point for developing new resources in this area at Pearson, we knew that we wanted to work with an expert partner. So if you haven't heard of Reach Academy in Feltham, they're an all-through school in London who have a commitment to excellent teaching and enjoyment. And they were the first all-through school to get an outstanding rating from Ofsted, and 12 of their teachers were also involved in setting up the Oak Academy as well. John Hutchinson, who's pictured here, is now their Director of Learning and Development. And he and his team weren't surprised when Ofsted switched their focus to curriculum planning and design, because this is something that they had been focusing on for a long time in a quest to have a thorough history and geography curriculum that would help their children and also children in other schools as well. So we've taken the amazing resources that Reach developed, and we've also added a Key Stage 1 offering. And then we've also used our digital expertise to put all the resources online in such a way that you can use them for planning, teaching and the children's work as well. So Reach developed these resources based on the insight that the activity-led teaching that they had previously been using often resulted in children not necessarily remembering much about the topic when they got to the end. John shared a story with us of teaching a topic about the Iron Age and realising at the end that children had retained more about how to make a plasticine hut than about the Iron Age itself. So whilst there are tons of brilliant enrichment activities out there, and there's certainly time to use those alongside a knowledge-rich curriculum, this curriculum, being knowledge-rich, has all of the facts in there as well, and children are much more likely to retain it, as Reach have found. So the Reach team also shared that they found their previous teaching was actually widening the knowledge gap, as highly motivated children would go home, research the topic in their own time, and they were often the children who, statistically speaking, based on their socio-economic background, were those who were likely to attain the highest grades to start with. And John admitted that when he started himself on the journey of planning this curriculum, he didn't have the sort of subject knowledge that he would expect his children to have by the end of a unit. And that's not really surprising when you look at the workload of the average primary school teacher. And along with Reach, we also wanted to tackle the ongoing challenge of evidencing children's progress through their foundation subjects as they go through school. So along with the team at Reach, we believe that planning exactly what children are going to learn in a topic results in them much greater clarity in what terms of what should be learnt. So that's why when we've been working with them on our history and geography programmes, we've built on this knowledge-rich approach. So representing the first of Ofsted's 3 I's, the intent, our resources provide all the key knowledge, both for pupils and teachers, that you intend children to learn and remember in the long term. And Reach have shown that children using this approach are much more likely to retain that knowledge in the long term, making lessons much easier and more enjoyable. And probably the most important but the most difficult aspect of curriculum planning is effective sequencing. So while this is taken for granted in English and maths, the idea that children make progress through primary school, Reach found that this wasn't necessarily being applied in humanities subjects. And so we worked with Reach to put together this intelligently sequenced curriculum in line with Ofsted guidance. And of course, as you'd expect, we produce all of the resources with the necessary eye on diversity and inclusion. So here at Pearson, we have a set of principles and guidelines that all of our publishing must adhere to, from author choice to image selection. And the history package includes an exciting hidden stories unit, which includes guidance on uncovering the diverse stories in your local area. So this slide shows the resources that are included. So we offer a programme for history and one for geography, but we would recommend our essential package, which includes both of those, and also the professional development that you need to understand the pedagogy. So at the heart of the programme is this curriculum sequence, which includes a knowledge organiser, and that's the core facts of the topic. That's something that can be sent home for children to quiz themselves and also for parents to look at. And the pupil work booklets include all of the text, activities, images and questions that children will be doing. There's also, for you as a teacher, the lesson plans, slideshows. Children work towards essays at the end of each topic to demonstrate what they've learnt. We've got the concept toolkits, which we'll look at again in a moment, which go all the way through from Key Stage 1 to Key Stage 2. And then there's also enrichment time worked in as well. So let's have a look at the structure. So you can see that this chart shows units for history and geography. And at Key Stage 1, we have termly units, so 6 units. And each one has 6 lessons of about 50 minutes each. And Key Stage 1 units are not year group specific, but there is progression. Some schools don't teach history until year 2, which is why we've got this flexibility. And there's also that flexibility within the national curriculum too. At Key Stage 2, there are 24 units, so 6 units per year. And one of our curriculum principles was that any concept that we want children to learn should be revisited, so they're not expected to learn it just in one lesson or unit. So for example, for the concept of monarchy or leadership, children encounter this in Key Stage 1 in a unit about Pocahontas. And then they come back to it in year 3 with a unit on ancient Greece and Alexander the Great, and also the Shang dynasty. And then in year 4, they look at Anglo-Saxons and Alfred the Great. And then in year 5, we have medieval monarchs. And this is a closer look at the concept toolkits. So these are subject-specific concept support running all the way through from Key Stage 1 to Key Stage 2. And so it's all about helping teachers give the best history and geography lessons possible. And part of that is helping children to know how to think like a historian or geographer and have the skills to do that. So for example, in history, we have a concept toolkit all about understanding and interpreting evidence. And you're provided with subject tools you could use, such as inference squares. Now let's have a look at the resources themselves on the Active Learn Primary platform. So I'll just come out of my slides and we'll go into Active Learn Primary. So here's the home screen of Active Learn Primary. So this is where you access any products that you've already got with us. So it's single sign-on. So geography and history would appear in exactly the same place and you'd sign on in the same way that you already do. On this demo account here, I've got all of our products, which is why there's lots of tiles. So let's have a look at the geography first. And all of the content is here in planning. So we've got some planning guidance here, which sets out what terminal units are and what the concept toolkits are, and talks about how those fit together. Also the fact that all of the content is suitable for mixed age classes, because the pupil facing content doesn't have any year groups on it. So although there is some progression going through, you don't have to deliver them in particular year groups. So we can use this menu at the side to navigate through the content. So some primary geography curricula mainly focuses on physical geography, such as rivers and volcanoes. And we have that here, but we also focus on human geography as well, which can be seen as a bit more tricky to deliver at primary level. So we have a strong emphasis on diversity, equity and inclusion, as I mentioned earlier, and I'd like to show you how this is reflected in the resources. So for example of that sort of topic, this one is slums. So this is something that may seem challenging to teach at primary level, and it's important to cover it in a way that gives agency to the people that live there. So we've worked hard at sharing the stories of the women in particular in these communities to show the agency that they have over their own lives, and also how they can influence the people around them as well. So you have the complete lesson plan here with suggested timings. And then under photocopyables here, you've got a Word and PDF version of that lesson plan as well. So if you want to edit that, you can do. You've got the pupils booklet and a teacher's version of that, which has all the answers and what you'd be looking for from children. And you've got the slides here as well. So the slides include the key questions that we'll be looking at in the lesson. There's a retrieval quiz, which is a key part of a knowledge-rich curriculum. So you put these up on the board, but they're also in the pupil booklet as well. And then it's also got all the key images that you might want to show in the lesson. I'll just close that and open up the pupils booklet. We'll have a look at that. So this is something that you can download and print out from the platform. So a copy for each child. So each pupil booklet starts with a knowledge organizer with all the key facts that the children need to know. Then we've got a learning review, which is something that children will use to reflect on their learning as they go through the topic. And then we have content for each lesson. So I'm just going to go to lesson 2. And this is the retrieval quiz, which you have at the start of each lesson. So they can put their answers here in the quiz, and then you can put the answers up on the board if you like, and get children to mark each other's work or self-mark. And then for the lesson, they've got all of the content they need and the activities that they can fill in here in the booklets. So children are given the opportunity to do an increasing amount of writing and reflection as they go through the topic. So the concept toolkits are mainly teacher development resources and have practical resources to expand teaching expertise in these areas. So, for example, cause and effect. So you've got some teaching tools included in here. So they cover overarching concepts that can be woven through all of the units in Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. And the waypoints are progress markers, which you can use to keep track of children's conceptual knowledge. So there's 4 or 5 waypoints for each concept toolkit. And each toolkit provides tools and activities which help pupils pass these waypoints. So now let's have a look at the history resources. So I'll go back to the home screen, open up history. So you'll see that the structure of the planning in the history is exactly the same as in geography. So it's really easy to use these 2 products alongside each other. And again, we've got some really great topics here with a focus on diversity, equity and inclusion. For example, Changing Britain. So this is an area where we've consulted really widely on these topics and how to get the language right. So it's really supportive for you teaching these topics. So this covers civil rights, the Bristol bus boycott, the Grunwick strike, Section 28, and the wheelchair warriors. And the lesson about Section 28 is all about telling the story of what happened. And as a history resource, it's objective and it teaches about the key players and puts everything into context. And at the end of each unit is a unit checkout. So you've got the assessment all neatly woven in. So you've got that on your teaching slides. With some useful support for children to answer the questions. And then all of that also is included in the pupils booklet. So that's where they will actually be writing their answers to the unit checkout. So all of their work is kept together in the same place. So finally, I'll just quickly show you a quick look at resources. So this is just another way of searching for all the resources that we've just seen linked out from the lessons. So if you know what you're looking for, you know the topic, and then if you're looking for example, the video that's all about changing Britain, then you can find that directly here. And then we've also got some useful things in classroom support. So there's some information here about the impact of COVID-19, i.e. learning loss and helping children to catch up and what you might want to focus on. Some information about the professional development course, but I'll talk about that in a moment. And then under curriculum, you've got a Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 history curriculum map, mapping out all of the content from here and progression through it. You've got some more information on the concept toolkits, and then there's a glossary of all of the content here in the history resource. Okay, so now come out of Active Learn Primary. Let's go back to the slides. So another way that we support you is in this course from John Hutchinson. So it's a professional development course, a self-guided course of 7 modules, each an hour long. And it addresses 7 key questions about curriculum design. So it expands upon some of the key principles of curriculum design, which have been used in the design of the history and geography resources. So we've got some great value packages for extended curriculum, so history, geography, and science as well. So history and geography taken together, that package costs £800 for the online subscription, and then £100 for the professional development course, which gives that £900 package that you can see here. And if you already have Science Bug, or if you take science as well, then that's just £1,100, and that represents a £200 saving. And we'll send you the details of the packages in a follow-up email. And we also have some different packages for small schools with under 150 pupils as well. So Lish, do we have any questions so far?
Oh, no, we don't actually, but if you do have any, please just pop them in the Q&A or the chat and we'll make sure they're answered.
Thank you. So in a moment, I'm going to put a poll up on screen, which is just to gather your thoughts on the challenges about teaching history and geography, because we're really interested to hear your thoughts on that. And also so you can let us know if you'd like a free trial of the history and geography resources as well. So do carry on typing into the Q&A box if you've got any questions, and I'll just put that poll up. Okay, so you should be able to see a poll up on screen now, and we'd love to hear your thoughts about the challenges of teaching history and geography. So for the other option, you're not able to type directly into the poll, but if you have any other challenges that you'd like to let us know about, then please do type them into the chat or the Q&A, and we'd love to hear those. Okay, I can see your answers coming in now. Quite consistent actually, which is really interesting. That's great, thank you. So I'll just give another moment for you to finish the poll. And just to say that please remember that the customer success team are always here to support you. So we can do an online walkthrough of any of the resources that you have with us. We can answer questions and we can provide quotes and place orders as well. So thank you for filling in the poll. It looks like we might have all the answers in now. So interestingly, what's come across strongly is that the main challenge is a lack of subject specialism. So everyone seems to agree on that. And then the other challenges are around providing a complete coverage of programmes of study, and then a lack of knowledge-rich resources. So I hope that we've been able to show how the Pearson history and geography resources could help with all of those things. So thank you very much for filling that in. We'll, in our follow-up email, we'll get back to you about the free trial. So I'll just end the poll now. So we'll be sending a follow-up email in the next few days. So that will have some guidance about activating your free trial if you've asked for one. Some information about the professional development course that we mentioned, and also some information about our guidance for Ofsted. So we've broken it down into key questions that Ofsted might ask in a deep dive, and answers that you might give if you're using the history and geography resources. So that brings us to the end of this webinar, unless we have any questions that have come through, Lish.
No, nothing.
Okay, so you'll be hearing from us by email. So if you think of anything in the meantime, then feel free to get back to us. We'll be very happy to help with that. So I'd just like to really thank you for your time in joining us, and I hope that we've been able to show you today what a rigorous programme the history and geography is, how it engages children with diverse and knowledge-rich activities. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll end the webinar now.